welcome to Meticulous Moments. My name is Juanita Kapp. You can reach me at meticulousmacarons@gmail.com or find me on LinkedIn. Since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the globe, I've had the wonderful privilege to meet a wide array of fantastic individuals. These individuals have truly touched my life in so many positive ways. Amongst this group of people, there are authors, public speakers, life coaches, poets, leaders, and visionaries. They are the unsung heroes of our time. Therefore, I decided to start the Meticulous Moments movement out of a sense of my gratitude. It is my way of giving back to the community. Let us share and reshare their stories in an effort to build a better society. Today we are joined by the fabulous and amazing Jose Escobar. Jose Escobar was born in Washington, D.C. and resides with his family in Maryland. He is happily married to his wife, Katie Escobar, and together they have 5 children. Currently, he is the sales director for the educational funding company, EFC. Jose is the founder and CEO of the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf. His best-selling program, The Morning and Evening Routine Mastery, has generated over 6 figures in only 5 months. He is also the founder of the Connected Leaders Academy, which is rapidly growing in members globally. Let's welcome Jose. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Meticulous Moments. It's wonderful to have you with us. And this evening we have with us the amazing Jose Escobar. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you.
It's good to see you. Thank you so much for agreeing to be with us this evening. And we would like you to please introduce yourself to us. We would love to learn more about what you do and who you are.
Absolutely. First of all, it's an honor to be here, Juanita. Thank you so much for the opportunity to add value to your audience and just further the reach. And I believe a rising tide raises all ships. So just honored to be here. In terms of who I am, happily married, 5 children, family of 7. I live in Silver Spring, Maryland. That's in the U.S., born in Washington, D.C. And I am a martial artist. That's my background. I've enjoyed the martial arts world for some time, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing. I still have a day job, a career path. I've been a sales director for a global martial arts company called EFC, based out of Chevy Chase, Maryland. EFC stands for Educational Funding Company. And I've pretty much been there for about 10 years, sales, marketing, coaching, all that good stuff, traveling the country all the time. So that's kind of what I do there. I just went to part-time because I also have 2 companies that I'm scaling right now. My claim to fame recently is that I've launched 2 successful 6-figure businesses separately in under 7 months. Right now, the first one I have is the Morning and Evening Routine Mastery Program. It's like a courses programs under my company, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf. So I have that company. And then the other company I have is the Connected Leaders Academy. And that's a membership, offering where I have entrepreneurs from all over the world coming together under one tribe, and we're kind of growing, networking, learning, all that good stuff. And that's a whole nother thing. So very excited to be connected to you and be here today. So thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Well, that's a very vast scope of activities and accomplishments and things to keep you busy. And I'm sure that you display leadership in all of those areas, and that you have to be very disciplined, in your day routine when you go about your day. But I'm very happy to hear that you are using all your gifts and your attributes and your abilities. And that is really, making a difference in the community. And I'm also very privileged to be connected to you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Tell us more about the CLA community, of which I have to add, I'm a very proud member of.
So yeah, I'm super excited to have you as part of the family now. For short, we call it the CLA tribe. And this was an idea that just kind of hit me this year, January 25th of 2022. 2 weeks prior to that, I'm always like brainstorming, and I'm a big guy on morning routine and evening routine. And part of my evening routine is examination of conscience, where I examine my conscience for the day, the good, the bad, the ugly. Where can I improve? What could I have done better? That type of thing. And I include in my evening routine prayer and journaling. So in the process of these three pieces, examination of conscience, prayer, and journaling, and then of course reading books, I've always have ideas that come to me, right? Ideation, and then it's just a matter of creating a plan and executing. So what happened was I had this idea, like, you know what? I have this great company I work for. I have this great business, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf, digital programs company. And then I don't have a membership recurring revenue system. So I said, let me create a recurring revenue system. Mm-hmm. And in 2 weeks' time, Juanita, I created this this idea of 10 benefits, right? I created this one pager of 10 benefits to a membership where people would come from all over the world. And they were going to show up for 5 reasons: to grow personally and professionally, to scale their influence, to move the needle in their business, essentially more money, more clients, more profit, the bottom line, to develop skill sets, and then, of course, to grow their network and their circle. And since we launched a little over 5 months ago now, we are now in 11 countries globally. We just expanded into recently Romania, Pakistan, Egypt, Germany, UK, Australia, Canada, the list goes on. And we're also in 34 states, coast to coast in the US, with as of yesterday, we have 200 members, which is super exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is astounding. That is amazing growth. And you're just going from strength to strength. And I think it's showing. And, you know, when I see the CLA tribe communicating and to connect, you know, when they connect the network, it is just every time amazing to see the caliber of the individuals that you have in your program and in your tribe. In our tribe, it's amazing to see the work that you are doing. And, you know, I think a lot of that starts with self-reflection. I think it's the leadership, you know, that you give, that you bring, that really inspires everyone to go strong and believe and do the things that they are called to do. So I want to commend you on the growth and on the progress for you and your family. You're making an astounding difference in the community, and the CLA tribe, I know, is going to just grow exponentially. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. This year I plan to be at 1,000 members. So you know, we're at the very beginning of something very special, and we're moving very quickly. The snowball is already in effect, and it takes a lot of effort to get the snowball going. But once it's going, momentum is key, and that's where we're at now.
True, that momentum is going to be amazing. I agree with you, and I'm very, very proud to be a CLA tribe member. Jose, if you had to render a general description of leadership, what does that mean to you? What does it represent?
So I'm all about, I follow someone, I have many mentors, right? Some of which I've met, some of which I've never met, right? And one of the ones that I have met before, who is becoming a friend, is John Maxwell. And wonderful. John Maxwell talks about leadership being influence. And influence is leadership. And I believe wholeheartedly that would be my description. It's influence. So, and it's not just, there's a difference between a manager and a leader, right? A manager wants to manage things and wants to like tell people what to do. And a leader shows people how to do it. Says, you know what, I'm going to step in line. I'm going to be on the front lines. I'm going to execute and show you how it's done. And they usually utilize something, they tap into something called extreme ownership. Right? If something in the team, like Jocko Willing talks about, which is a great book, by the way, if anybody doesn't execute at their highest level, if something falls through the cracks and something doesn't get done, you can easily, as a manager, point the finger. As a leader, you take ownership and say, well, what could I have done better for this to have gotten accomplished, right? So front lines, influence, and truly having a desire to help others achieve their greatest self. Because when you help others get what they want, right, you by default get what you want, which is what Zig Ziglar talks about all the time. And that's really what it's all about. So you don't manage people, you manage things. You manage your checkbook, you manage your bank account, you manage, you know, certain things like that. You lead people. And that's what it's all about.
I love that. I love that answer. I was thinking to myself, as we rise, we lift. You've heard that before. As we rise, we lift. So our heart should always be to help other people. And then also I'm thinking that, I've never heard of a micro leader. I've heard of micromanagement, but
Yeah,
I've never heard of a micro leader
I love
because
that.
it just occurred to me. A micro leader, there's no such thing. And people like to micromanage. And I was talking to someone else the other day, also in an interview, and he was talking about, micromanaging is stifling to people's, ideas and to reaching that goal and getting the task completed. And he said, well, he worked under someone that taught him you should move a little bit more closer to the chaos side of things where, you should be structured. But if you've given someone something to do, give them whatever they need to accomplish their task and let them go.
Yes.
And then see what they come up with. And I thought that was very refreshing. So thank you for that lovely answer. As a great leader, naturally you love to read. I mean, we can see all the lovely books there in your library as well. So if you had to be stranded on an island for a month and you could only take 3 books with you, which books would be your top picks?
That's a really tough question for me because I am passionate about reading. I read about a book a week, sometimes a little bit more. And if I just had to throw 3 out there, and I put some thought into this, because, people have asked me this many times in different ways, right?
Yeah.
What are your top 5 books of all time? And, that type of thing. So I've had time to kick this around a little bit. And I would say, no particular order because they're all equally really good. But if I had to just pick 3, it would be The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. That's a phenomenal book on morning routine and the power of it and why to do it and how to do it. So it's a lot about the why and a lot about the how. And it's a nice, happy marriage of both. Because a lot of times books inspire you, but they don't give you the tools on how to do it or what to do. Yeah, and then sometimes they tell you what to do, but they don't tell you the reason behind why you're doing it, right? So this is a good blend of both, and Robin Sharma is phenomenal. I love following him. Another book I would say would be Jordan Belfort's The Way of the Wolf. The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort is all about sales, right? It's a sales book. And for those of you who don't know, The Wolf of Wall Street, the guy, there was a movie on him, The Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan Belfort is the original guy. I believe Leonardo DiCaprio played the role in the movie.
Wow.
But it's a phenomenal book on sales, and it talks about his system. He has a system that he developed on sales called the straight line selling system, right? So I've been following him for years. I have 25 years in sales. That's what I do, right? That's what I'm really good at. And I always am learning new things. And I have learned a ton from that book. Powerful book on sales. And sales is the bottom line to any business. Even if you don't like to sell, you're selling whether you realize it or not. So you might as well get good at it, right?
Hone your skills.
And then the third book I'd say, and I'm just going to say it separately from Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, because everybody throws that book out there. So I'm just giving you 3 books outside of Think and Grow Rich because that would be in the top 3. But if I had to eliminate that one book that I would say just about anybody would say should be there, it would be the 15 invaluable laws of the 15 invaluable laws of growth.
Oh, fantastic.
That's by John Maxwell. So the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell, phenomenal book. And his system, a lot of his books are great. And the reason why his books are great and not just good, because there's a gap between good and great, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Is because he has a system that he follows, like Ryan Holiday has a system. And Ryan Holiday is a phenomenal author too, which there's so many books of his that are great. He has a system called commonplacing. And commonplacing is the art of filing away information for future reference. So, I teach that in my morning, evening routine mastery program. There's a whole system on that. But that system is like you, for example, have categories in a 10 by 5 index card filing system. So every time I read something at night, or I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm talking to a mentor and they say something powerful, or I watch a YouTube video, or whatever, right? Every night in my evening routine before I go to bed, I file 5 cards away, and they're in different categories, right? So it'll say, for example, page 11, a quote. the author, and where it got what it's from, right? And it could be poems, it could be statistics, facts, it could be quotes, it could be an idea, it could be whatever, right? And you file it away in categories: leadership, influence, sales, whatever, right? So what you do is what John Maxwell does, and Ryan Holiday and others, is they file away all these things, and they file daily, at least 5 to 10 things a day. And then when they're going to write a book, they say, what is this book going to be about? And then they say, what do I want the chapters to be based on that book? And then they go in their filing system and they pull out those categories.
That's wonderful.
In their section. And then they write the book around that. And that's the meat of their book. And so he has so much content in there because of his commonplacing system.
That's amazing. I'm thinking now that would help you to stick to your topic.
Yes.
Because I'm sure, as an author, and, you sometimes we tend to drift off a little bit. I remember when I did my thesis for my master's in theology, there's so many things that you want to add. There are so many things you want to add, and you have to really hone into what is the topic and stick to that. So that's a wonderful way to stick to the topic at hand and then to just streamline it. And what's interesting to me, sometimes we read these amazing things and then later in the week we want to refer back to them, but we can't exactly remember what we read. We know what the core, message was, but what was the exact way that it was said, because it was so powerful. So that's a wonderful system. I'm definitely going to start doing that.
If you're going to do a speech, you're going to do a talk, you're going to give a lesson, you're going to create a course, you're going to write a book, an article, anything that involves you referencing other things or using content, this is the perfect way to have a library of that stuff. And you go back to it. It's originally called a commonplace book, where people would journal things like that. But then it evolved into this, 3x5 index card filing system, which I have a number of those. And it's just a phenomenal thing.
I'm sure. And I'm thinking, as you're referring to the cards, if you take your journal and you write in it, you have to go look for where did I write it, which day. And this makes it so easy to get to that information. That's wonderful. I love that. I'm going to start applying that in my life.
Wonderful.
I know that you read a March Mammoth every year, which is about 500 to 1,000 pages. The one you mentioned on the CLA the last time in the tribe was from Warren Buffett, The Snowball. Right. And you were talking about not sucking your thumb. So which book was your pick last year and why?
Last year I read Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. Guns, Germs, and Steel. And the why is because I like to read books on different topics, right? So I always read 5 books at a time. And I read one on faith. I read one on leadership / running the business. I read one on just personal development in general, one on health, and then one on relationships, whether being a better husband or being a better father, right?
Wonderful.
So I read constantly these things, and based on what I feel the need to read the most that day is what I'll tap into. And that's kind of what I do. And one of the books I wanted to read, and every now and then I throw in a bonus book, right? I throw a bonus book of just history or something like a biography of some sort, something just to kind of get some of that extra meat, right? And that was a book. I was like, this is fascinating. And I've heard a lot about Jared Diamond and the stuff that he's put out there. I have a number of his books I haven't read yet. So I said, this is a bestseller. It's people have referenced it a lot. A lot of the influencers and the leaders that I know have talked about it. So I said, let me just read it. So, and it's great. It talks about the whole idea of how in wars, more people die from germs than the actual guns and knives themselves. And they never talk about that. Nobody talks about that. But just disease and germs in general have the power to take out countries, and all kinds of things. And it talks about a lot of history and food and cattle and how disease starts. And it's just a really fascinating book. So that was my book last year.
Well, that sounds amazing. I'm sure I'm going to be looking for that book soon. I don't know if I'll find it in Queenstown, but I'll definitely find it online. So thank you very much for that, for that reference. And then I thought, as you were speaking, would you like to elaborate on not sucking your thumb? Because I'm sure some of the audience members are going to wonder, what did I refer to in the book of Warren Buffett?
Yeah, sucking your thumb is a reference that Warren Buffett talks about when we take too long to make a decision.
Yeah.
Right. And chapter 8, Think and Grow Rich, talks about decisiveness, right? Being decisive and just pulling a trigger, making the ability to make quick executive decisions.
Yeah.
And that's a skill. It takes time to develop this, right? Because naturally, a lot of us want to protect ourselves. We want to protect our money. We want to protect our family. We want to protect our health. We want to protect our pride, our ego, like all these things. So naturally, it's very few people that execute naturally quickly. And most of us want to delay and procrastinate and think about it and then think about it again. And I call it mental constipation. So the key is to learn the art of executing quickly and diligently and effectively with some prudence and, of course, some due diligence, of course. You don't want to just pull the trigger like that. And somebody said, and I agree with this, sometimes saying no is also a decision. Sometimes saying no is the right decision. It's not always saying yes to something, right? But it's the ability to say, this is for me or this is not for me.
Yeah.
One thing that I learned is if it's not an immediate hell yes, it's an automatic no. And that's my rule of thumb. Like if somebody's pitching me something and it's not an immediate hell yes, then it's an automatic no. And I'm not going to sit around and keep it in the parking lot and let it overwhelm my thoughts and say I need to go back and revisit this and think about it. It's either yes or no. And a no now doesn't mean a no forever. It just means it's a no right now. And that's kind of what it is. So this whole idea of Warren Buffett says, listen, we have to learn the ability and the art of making quick decisions. And anything outside of that is you sucking on your thumb, and he doesn't believe in that.
I think that's a wonderful reference. And I think it's something that will stick in people's minds, when they hear this and they get to a place where they need to make a decision, it will help them to make that decision. And, it's something that we grow into. Yes. I remember in my days when I was still young in the ministry, I often people pleased because I was still young, and you want to achieve and you want to keep everybody happy. And then you get into your profession a little bit longer and you realize that's not the way to go. And like you said, sometimes saying no is also the right thing to do. Yes. So at some point in my life, I had to learn to say no. And it was so refreshing because the moment I started applying that, I started trusting my decisions. So I became more decisive in my decisions and it was easier for me to say, well, am I doing this or am I not doing this? So thank you. I appreciate you elaborating on that.
If I can very quickly just say something to piggyback off of that. Once you make a decision, right, that's the initial stage, is the ability to make a quick executive decision. And a lot of times they say successful people, high-level entrepreneurs and leaders, they very seldomly go back and say, I made the wrong decision. Very seldomly. They get really good at making executive decisions. But once you make that decision, the next step is committing to that decision. Yes. Because we can decide today, I want to do this, and decide tomorrow I change my mind. So when you make a decision and it's an executive one and you thought it out and you say, I'm doing this, now you commit and you see it through. Very important.
Yeah, that's very important in leadership because our words should mirror our actions. I agree with you completely. People will follow you if they see that you do what you say and you say what you do. And those things are very important because even, when we work with people in our daily lives, people look up to us as leaders. And they want to know that sometimes they just want some advice and they're going to go to the person they can trust. They're going to go to the person that has compassion and the person that leads with integrity. And to lead with integrity, you have to follow through on your decisions. I've also said in teams, if you've decided that you have a goal and there's someone else in your team that has a better attribute or skill to get you to that place, it is about the goal and the team. It's not about that one person, but still at the end of the day, you have to be accountable for your team. And you can only do that if you follow through. So I agree with you. Definitely. Yeah, we have to, if we say we're going to do something, we should do it.
Indeed.
Please describe your leadership style.
My leadership style is very direct. I am a D in what they say, the DISC assessment, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very much they say bold, right? If I had to describe one character trait, it would be bold. I believe sugar's for children, right? I think if you want to tell somebody what they need to hear, you got to tell them head on. Yes. Of course, there's tact. There's tact involved in how you deliver a message because it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? So that matters. But it's important that you are very direct, very bold, and very straightforward with people, and that's my style. I am very much like, listen, I'm going to show you how it's done. I'm going to lead by front, but at the same time, I'm going to hold you accountable. And we have to inspect what we expect. And it's very much that style. So I am the kind of guy who will roll my sleeves up. I have no problem cleaning the toilet and no problem selling at the highest level on high ticket sales and everything in between, right? Like, this is leadership. Leadership is being able to do a little bit of everything, not complaining, taking extreme ownership, high level discipline, and being consistent and committed. And I expect the same from everybody else who's in my circle.
Yeah, which is good because that's how you shape them. And I have to say, I picked that up the first time I met you. I picked that up. You're a straight shooter, and what you see is what you get. You are that way. That's how you lead. And I have to say, you were talking about cleaning toilets. I've also been there. I've had many congregations where I had to clean the church, and on Sunday I preach in my clean church that I cleaned myself. But as leaders, we do what needs to be done. So I think that's the best policy, because people don't like to beat around the bush, and people don't like to, I think we're moving into a maturity in leadership with the COVID that happened, that people want to know the full truth, and, they want to develop and change. So I think to be authentic, I would describe you as being an authentic leader, because you say, what you are thinking. So your team would always know where they stand with you, which is a good thing. In your opinion, is it possible that the phenomenon of procrastination is worse after COVID-19? Or did COVID-19 in actual fact spur individuals on to achieve their dreams? What is your opinion on that?
I think that's a tough question, because, and this is my opinion, but, I would say it's a little both, but more so, it has created even more complacency in many people. Because I think the majority of society doesn't fall into the category of excelling to be at the top of the top, right? Doesn't strive towards, let me launch my business and do something greater and take on more risk and live in the discomfort zone, right? And let me live in my discomfort zone. Let me seek the path that's the hardest, not the path of least resistance, the path that's the hardest, right? There's very few. That's the 3%. Everybody throws different percentages, but if I just had to throw a percentage, the 3% that live a certain way, COVID is going to benefit them dramatically. The people, the 97%, is going to be more of the same, and probably less of like what you want to do, which is why people throw around this COVID weight, and how I gained 30 pounds during COVID, and how I was feeling depressed, and I was feeling this, and I was feeling that. A lot of times is because, it's more of the same. So for me, it was, no, like, this is a time where while everybody else is watching Netflix, while everybody else is watching TV, while everybody else is putting their feet up, while everybody else is relaxing, I am in the lab. I am ideating, I am creating, I am executing, and I'm finding ways to capitalize on the times. The Connected Leaders Academy is an online platform. My coaching business is an online platform, and I took advantage of that with my spare non-productive time. And guess what? We had a lot of that.
And look at that. I mean, it's amazing. You took that gap, and as you said, well, other people were saying, oh, we don't know what the future holds. You were saying, no, I'm going to create that future. I'm going to create the tribe. And I have to say, if I have to give feedback, it's amazing to be a part of the CLA tribe. The things that are discussed there and the individuals, it's just fantastic. It's an amazing platform. And I was thinking now, as you were talking, that, if you have it's not one of my initial questions, but if you have a definition for an optimist, a pessimist, and a realist, what do you think was the difference between those three people? Because often I say things like, now, I like to be positive. I love to smile. I love to laugh. And even if something is looking like it's going to go terribly wrong, I try and look at the positive side of things. So I have had people tell me, oh, you're so optimistic. You need to be realistic for a change. And that's not how I think. If I can't do it one way, I find another way to do something. What is the difference between optimism, pessimism, and realism to you?
Yeah, so I've had many people tell me the same thing, and I'm
Oh,
naturally a very optimistic person. I tend to see the good in everything
yeah.
and everyone, and I find opportunity where people find
Yes.
challenges, right? Where people find like failure, and people find challenges, people find bricks and walls and hurdles and speed bumps. I find ways to get under, over, or around, right?
Amen.
And just,
Love
and
that.
just figure it out. So I think it's in some places it's not so healthy to be extreme right or extreme left, as in
Yeah.
politics, right? There is something called a sense of reasonableness. There is
Mhm.
something called living in the middle of both extremes. And I usually tend to fall in the category of a sense of reasonableness, right? In anything you look at, I'm not extremely over here or extremely over here, but I do
Mhm.
tend to gravitate towards what I prefer. So let's
Yes.
just say we have the extreme side here, which is negative, being a negative person. We have the optimist over here on this extreme, and the
Yeah.
realist is somewhere in the middle, right? I tend to gravitate to more the optimistic side, but also being fully aware of the realistic side. So
Yes.
there's a difference between living in a discomfort zone and living in a delusional zone. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where the realism comes in. So if
Yeah.
I'm making, for example, let's just say 500,000 right now, doing what I'm doing, just to throw a
Yeah.
number up there, and I
Yeah.
say, okay, next year I want to make 15 million, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to look at what do I have in place? What have I done so far? What's my track
That's
record?
the
What
resource.
is
Yeah.
realistic, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to have a
Market
balance of.
research.
Yes, it's important to have a balance of being unrealistic because that's how you grow. If you shoot for
Yeah.
the stars, you land on the moon. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's also important to not kind of like allow yourself to limit your life and your
Mm.
beliefs and your dreams and your vision because you're trying to be a realist.
True, true. I love your answer. And what I'm gathering from that is that through your personal and professional development, you are level-headed. You keep calm in a situation and you do see what is possible and what's not possible, but you do try to look at the silver lining on the dark cloud. So I was thinking, as you were talking about shooting for the stars and landing on the moon, Jordan Peterson speaks about, when we have a vision of something or we have a dream that we want to accomplish, we know we are kind of here and we want to get there. And he says sometimes we make a plan and we only get halfway and it doesn't work out and we have to start over. And then what do? We go rethink our plan. We strategize, we go and do more research and we look for answers in ourselves. And he says the next time you attempt this, maybe you go a little bit further, but you're not at your goal yet. He says, and sometimes we do tweak our plan and we land up here in the middle somewhere in this place of chaos. And he says, this place of chaos is not necessarily a bad thing because you start to learn certain things in that place of chaos. You learn things about yourself. You learn things about your goal and you learn things about other people. And he says, in essence, just keep trying because eventually you will get to your goal. So I think that is a mixture of being realistic in the end, but always keeping that positivity to say, well, I might not have achieved my dream yet, but I will get there someday. So thank you for your answer.
That was amazing. The way you articulated that, I love that. So kudos to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Jose. My next question to you is networking is super important in establishing a business or a group. How important is it to enlarge your footprint digitally? And would consistency be an important factor in this process?
It is almost critical and mandatory in this day and age to have a large footprint digitally. In the world of social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, right? Twitter. So you pick your groups, you pick your departments of where you want to be. I'm not in all of them because I don't have the time, honestly. And
Yes.
I'm not in a place yet to where I want to have paid ads and have a team. Like eventually I'm going to have somebody that I'm paying to be on all the platforms, but they do all the work and they spend the time and they do all that. And that's great because there is a different audience in every single platform and you're going to miss some that are in some places that you could be tapping into. So I believe in being spread across all platforms digitally, but you got to have somebody doing it for you because you don't have it all day to do that, right?
Yeah.
So we tend to waste a lot of time if we're trying to do business, and we end up kind of scrolling and end up kind of distracted, and it becomes almost like it almost hurts you than helps you, right? So
Yes.
the key for me is like right now, all of the growth that I've had in the program, the one program that I've launched, which is my flagship product, the Morning Evening Routine Mastery, that's done over 160K in 7 months, and that is zero paid ads, like zero paid ads, and it's like 95% Facebook alone. On organic, me just posting and talking and sharing and tapping into my existing network, right? And then the other 5% was between LinkedIn and Instagram. Because I'm rarely there. I'm not really on those platforms as much as I am on Facebook. So I have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and every week I'm deleting 15 people and adding 15, right? Because I don't want to do the fan page thing yet. I will eventually, but not yet, right? So I'm just deleting people I never ever talked to that have somehow ended up on my radar. And that's it. And of course, Facebook groups. I have 2 Facebook groups, and I nurture those groups, and I'm a part of many other Facebook groups, but you have to be there. You have to spend time there. And that's how people get to know, like, and trust you, you know?
Yeah.
And that's really what it's all about. There's this great book. What is that book called? I have it there somewhere. Where Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. And he talks about doing a daily dispatch, right? Like doing a daily post on showing people the behind the scenes of what you do in many different creative ways. And they start to draw an interest, right? There's a difference between a painting and a painting, a verb versus a noun. One of them is the action of painting, like showing the colors, showing the mess ups, showing the starting over, showing the process, right? And teaching along the way. And then there's a painting, which is the end result that's hanging on a wall, right? And you will get more traction on your social media from showing the process than showing the end result. And they're two the same thing, painting and painting, right? So that's what I do. That's what I've always done. If you go on my social media, you're going to find faith, family, health, and business.
Fantastic.
I post all those things, and I show the behind the scenes, and I pull the curtains back, and I'm very transparent. And that is why people have been drawn to following me and seeing what goes on. And when I post something and they're intrigued, they ask me, what is this all about? Let's talk about it.
That's wonderful. That's a very healthy policy, to show people the process, you know, because people can relate to you. It's very easy to relate with you. You are very open to discussion. And I think that's also a very good attribute. And then I see on the Facebook pages that I'm on with you, that you are present. And if you are present, you are in the moment, and then you kind of start that networking. But it's not just networking, it's relationship building, because the CLA tribe, we can basically say, is family. You know, we spend so much time conversing with people. So I really agree with you. Yeah, doing that, I think, is a very good policy, and I think it's working. You can see in your dividends that it is working. So my next question to you would be, how do you manage to facilitate work-life balance? Because I know you are extremely busy.
Work-life balance is a real thing, but it also, some people could say it's a myth, right? Because, you know, I have 5 kids. I have 4 like here in the house, and I have one in my wife's stomach that's due any day now, right? So thank you. August 7th is the due date. So any day we'll be in the hospital for a few days, and that's coming around the corner. So 5 kids, you know, very involved in my church, very involved in the martial arts world and my day job, and running 2 businesses. And my son plays for a travel baseball team. So we're traveling. Wow. He's in Alabama right now for 10 days. So there's always a lot going on. There's never a dull moment, right? And I also have the morning routine and the evening routine. That is really where I find the tips and tricks and tactics and systems to do what I do. But I would say there are times like sprints of time where there is no balance, real balance, no real balance. There is still a some kind of a balance, but never a real, it's an imbalance, a slight imbalance, right? Where you do a sprint for 2 weeks of like working on a particular project to get it done, right? And that means something's got to give a little bit. And then there's times where there's an imbalance to where I'm saying, you know what, for this next 2 weeks, I'm going to spend more time with the family and doing this and this and this. I'm going to be doing business. And then every 90 days, I have a reward system to where I do something with my family.
Fantastic.
And that's, and they can kind of buy into that, and they can see, oh, daddy's working on this towards that, because at the end of these, on this day, we're going to go here. And we have this like board of like what we're going to do when this time comes. So you have to have balance in general, a sense of balance. You never want to be completely imbalanced and for too long, but you never want to be like so stressed out about like all the details, right? Because again, don't look at the small stuff. It's all small stuff, right? So you just got to be present. You got to be aware. And as long as you're generally balanced, and it's okay to be semi-imbalanced occasionally here and there for sprints with some kind of a system, then everything else works out and everybody's happy and healthy. And, we're all, as a family, we're going towards where we need to go to.
And that's the only thing that's important, is that you are happy and healthy. And I think that's a very apt description of work-life balance, because I have to say, I sometimes have the best of intentions, to do things a certain way, but life happens,
Yep.
So we try to keep to most of it, maybe taking the 80-20 principle and saying, well, there is 20% of things that I didn't do today, but at least the other 80% I got to. So I think everybody goes through that.
Yep.
What was your life dream when you were a child?
My life dream, I've had a few. I never had one that was like forever, like constant. I've had a few different stints of things. So at one point I wanted to be, I think at the first thing I can remember is I wanted to be a school bus driver when I was a little kid. Right?
Oh, yay! I've never heard that one before. I love it.
Yeah, I just enjoyed the whole idea of a school bus driver, and I love that. And then at one point I wanted to be a banker, because I love the whole idea of wearing a suit and handling money. So I was always playing banking with my brothers and sisters. Yeah, in a briefcase. I had this vision of being that person, right? And then over time, I wanted to be a UFC fighter. I wanted to pursue MMA and do all that. And then recently, and then I wanted to be a businessman. I just wanted to be like the entrepreneur that travels the country and works on the beach and does all these different things. And what I've realized over time, underline of all these things, is I just wanted to be somebody of impact. I wanted to be an impact player who is making an impact in the world and had value that I was bringing to the marketplace. And I was looked at as a leader and respected. And it was like, helping people achieve their dreams and me achieving my dreams. That's kind of the underlying theme as things progress. Yeah. And now, like, I'm living that, where I am in the business world, and I'm creating impact, because I believe income is directly correlated to impact, right? And that's where it's at. So that's kind of like now my vision is to travel the country, to have time and freedom, and to have global impact. That's what it's all about.
Wow, I was thinking, I love that. I was thinking when you were saying you wanted to be a bus driver, I was thinking to myself, you've always wanted to take people somewhere.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you are doing?
Yeah.
That is exactly what you are doing.
Yeah.
You're taking people places.
I never even thought about that. Wow.
I love that. Like, seriously, I've got goosebumps now. That is amazing. You are living your life dream, Jose. You are living your life dream, and you are taking us places. That is just amazing. Thank you for that answer. It is that underlying. You want to make impact. And that's exactly what you are doing.
That's amazing.
Tell us more about your love for martial arts. I'm also into the martial arts, so I had to add this question. I believe you went to a martial arts convention in Las Vegas a few days ago, where you met Lyoto Machida.
Yep.
I saw that, and I was like, that is amazing. That is amazing. Tell us more about that week.
Yeah, so the martial arts world, I've always been a big fan. I was watching UFC back in UFC 1, when Royce Gracie was doing his thing. And I've met the who's who in the martial arts, like all of the names, like I've met over the years, because that's a space thing, right? And it's awesome. I just absolutely, that's one of the reasons why I love what I do. So as a sales director for this company, I'm traveling all the time. And the company I work for was founded in 1967. So it's been for like 54 years or something like that. And anyway, so it's pretty darn cool. So I was at the Maya Super Show, And the Maya is an acronym, like MAIA. It's a martial arts super show, and it's always in Las Vegas. Last year, I think, or I don't know, a while ago, it was at Bellagio, and they kind of move around. They were at Caesar's Palace this time. And it brings the who's who in the martial arts world under one roof for 3 to 4 days. And they always have like celebrity speakers coming. There's a trade show. The trade show room has like, I don't know, like 100 businesses, different martial arts type businesses that are there to promote their products and services. So I'm always a vendor that's there in the trade room and meeting people and shaking hands and making connections and taking out clients to dinner, because a lot of my clients in the martial arts space come there. And of course, building new relationships. So next year you should definitely go, and it's just something that is amazing. It's just an amazing experience.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely do that. I'm gonna make it my mission, because I saw all your posts and I thought, wow, that would be so amazing to be there. You know, especially if you love martial arts and you are a martial artist, you know, a practitioner. I thought it would just be amazing to see that. And when I saw that photo of Lyoto Machida, I thought, I'm gonna message you, get me his autograph. Because I do karate, and he actually dominated the UFC with karate. He has a mind that he kicks and then he knocks his opponents out. He's the only one that ever did that. So it's amazing, you know, that you can lead while you are there. Get the people that you know in your network there together and have that amazing experience. That is also important. So my next question is, what will your next project be?
So right now there's a couple of projects that I'm working on. It's hard to just say one, but if I just had to condense a couple really quickly, I would say I'm working on 2 anthologies. So one of them that I haven't disclosed yet is going to be a CLA exclusive book that's currently in the works, Connected Leaders Academy exclusive. There's also going to be this book called The Art of Connection, Volume 3. So I was a part of Volume 2. I'll be a part of Volume 3 as a co-author to that book. I'm also writing my own book, which is coming out January 6th, and that's another amazing project on morning eating routine mastery. And then I have I have another course. I have 2 courses that I'm currently working on that are coming out very soon. One of them is a sales course because that's my thing that I've been doing for the longest, and that's where I excel. So and my wife is always keeps saying, like, you should have a sales course. Like, everybody has always asked me for sales advice, and I'm giving it out all the time for free. So I might as well create a course and charge.
She's correct.
Yeah. So I'm working on that course, and I'm working on a membership course on how to launch a membership like Connected Leaders Academy, because so many people are asking me about that. So I'm like, you know what, if the marketplace is asking for it and whatever, then create it, you know? So I'm working on those 2 courses. And then lastly, the CLA first annual global summit. So that's going to be October 13th, 14th, and 15th of next year, not this year. So October 13th to the 15th, 2023, it's going to be our first annual global summit. People from all over the world, all over the country here in the US are going to come together under one roof. We're looking to have 1,000 people present. I'm going to have vendor opportunities, sponsor opportunities, DJ. We're going to have a celebrity keynote speaker, a very high level speaker. We're going to have speakers, both internal from the CLA and external. Cocktail hour on Friday night, a formal gala on Saturday night with a 5-star dinner, entertainment on stage, award ceremony, you name it. So those are the next things I'm working on.
It's going to be action packed. It's going to be amazing. I'm there, absolutely.
Excellent.
You were mentioning your book for Jan that you are going to launch. Would you like to elaborate on that for us? Where you're going to launch?
Yes, so the book is called Winning the Day. And the subtitle is An Entrepreneur's Guide to Morning and Evening Routine Mastery. So Winning the Day, an Entrepreneur's Guide to Morning and Evening Routine Mastery. That's an area that I've excelled in. In 2019, I changed my life. I ended up doubling my income that year. I launched a business from scratch, not knowing how to start. I got a raise at my day job. I think I said I lost 36 pounds. I was in my best shape. I started reading a book a week that year, intellectually stimulated. My emotional state used to be like this. I was very steady emotionally. My finances improved. I got out of debt. I became a better father, a better husband. All of these things started happening in that 1 year when I committed to starting a morning routine and an evening routine, 5 a.m. wake up time and a 10:30 p.m. bedtime with systems in place. And when that happened in that 1 year, all that happened. So then I said, a light bulb went off and I said, you know what, let me launch my own program that teaches people how to do the same thing in 8 weeks. And by the end of 8 weeks, they walk out with their own customized morning and evening routine. Now, most people write the book first and do the program second. I did it backwards, right? So I did the program that is exploding right now and is doing really well and changing lives. And then I said, you know what, let me just write the book on it. So the book is there, and that launches January 6th, officially available in stores everywhere. On Amazon, it's going to be January 6th, 2023. And I'm going to be launching the book at Emilio and Daniela's event, the Business Book Camp. That's going to be in New Jersey, I believe Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And that's January 6th and 7th. So if anybody's in the New Jersey area, there's still tickets available to that event. I'm going to be launching my book along 9 other authors. So 10 of us are launching our book that same weekend. Wow. And the book is available now for pre-sale. So if anybody wants to lock in their copy, and it's going to be a personalized and signed copy by me, you can buy multiple copies at a bundled rate. Go to my website. The website is www.winningthedaybook.com. So winningthedaybook.com, and you can pre-order your books today. I would love for you to get a copy or copies, and you definitely want to read it. It's going to be amazing.
I agree. I think everyone should buy more than one copy. A copy to read and keep, and a copy to give to someone that you think, needs that direction and that structure. And I want to ask you to please keep me a copy. I'm going to come and collect it personally because I'm going to be at the Business Book Camp next year. Awesome. Yeah, so I want to come and see your little baby as well. So.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Do you have any words of wisdom for the audience before we close off?
Yes, words of wisdom is life is very short, even though it feels long. It's very short. We have one life to live. People say, you only live once. I say you only die once and you live daily, right? So you got to maximize your days. My dad used to always tell me when he would drop me off at school in the mornings, he'd say, make the day count. Right? Make the day count. And I always tell my son when I drop him off at school, I say, be your best, right? Be your best today, because life doesn't require you to be better than what you are. It requires you to be your best at where you are at that moment, right? So my best advice to you is maximize every day. Tap into your best self every day. Strive to be better, right? It's about that 1% Kaizen philosophy to just improve 1% every day and to make sure that you're tapping into personal development. Personal development, personal growth is the thing that has changed my life, which includes reading books, right? Reading books, intellectual, mental stimulation, and personal development. Have a growth plan. Don't just say, I want to be better. Have a plan in place. It starts with the idea, and then you create a plan, and then you execute that plan, and then you have the discipline, the consistency, the extreme ownership to carry it through. And that's how lives change. So for me, if I had to just give you one thing, is start with a morning routine, end with an evening routine every single day. Just have the discipline to install that in your life, right? And some people might say, I already have one. Well, when was the last time you evaluated how well it's serving you?
Yes.
That's a nugget right there. Because sometimes we get like kind of like casual about it, right? And sometimes people say, oh, well, I do it generally. I do this sometimes, or for the most, I intend to do this. If you're not doing it every day, it's not a routine. It's a desire of something I want to do, but you're not doing a routine. So routine is like automaticity. You're doing it every single morning, every single night. So that's my encouragement, is install a morning routine, install an evening routine, follow this plan, this intentional plan to be committed to personal development, personal growth, to become your best self. And I'm telling you, life can change like this. It's amazing what's happened in my life in a very short period of time because of my commitment to that pursuit of excellence, right? So that's my 2 cents. And if anybody is interested in learning more about the morning evening routine mastery program, just reach out, and I'm happy to set up a time to talk about it.
That's wonderful, wonderful words of wisdom. Lead yourself so that you can lead others. Be committed to lifelong learning. If you're a leader, you have to develop personally and professionally in a continuous manner. We never get to that place where we say we've arrived. There's always something more. There's always something extra to do. It was so lovely having you in this session. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us.
Absolutely. My absolute pleasure. It was an honor being here, and just the opportunity goes a long way. So I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to the audience, thank you so much. Jose's details will be available at the end of this video. Please reach out to him, network with him, purchase his book, purchase an extra copy, give it to someone that you think also will need it. I'm sure we can all learn and draw from his knowledge. And with that, we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next session. Goodbye.